Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Tuya Ion, designed by Echelon Knives. I honestly can't remember if I have ever reviewed anything else that was designed by Echelon Knives. Certainly have handled many Tuyas. This one's pretty interesting, very cool. Definitely a kind of has that mix of enthusiast and collector in there, but also it does make a good user. It is a premium knife, so it's got a pretty hefty price tag on it. I'll link it down in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Make sure your notifications are turned on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. This is the laser etched variation of this, and it's cool, but it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. If you don't like the laser etching, there is just a plain stonewashed one. So anyways, let's go ahead and do a measurement. Overall length coming in at 8.5 inches, blade length about 3.75, and cutting edge at 3.35. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Today's size comparison segment is actually sponsored by Remet. So we're going to go ahead and do the first one here up against the RT Orca, which there's a link for down in the description. Thank you so much to Remet for sponsoring the size comparisons. Let's go ahead and do some other size comparisons up against some knives that you may own, up against my full-size Excalibur and my compact Excalibur. So you can see there, it's about the same overall size as my Excalibur. Let's go ahead and put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3, which is where today? Is it gone? Well, then we'll go ahead and we'll put it up against the Demco 80 20.5. And what? I wonder what happened. Oh, there it is. It's gonna itch my brain, and if I don't do it like this. Okay, so there it is up against Spyderco Para 3, and then finally we'll put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case the Ritter Hogue, and the Hogue Deca. So how is the action on this knife? This is a frame lock, plenty of access right here to the lock side. Disengage, the blade will fall and catch your finger if you disengage, and if you like to disengage your frame locks like this, you can obviously do it with two hands. It will catch in the choil area, which is nice, and then you can turn, and honestly the pivot is smooth, like it's honestly really smooth, but also that blade has a lot of weight out here, so it's working, they're working together. Really nice. It is a front flipper as well, and this is a particularly, at least in my case, a particularly comfortable and easy to manipulate front flipper, but you can, of course, ignore that completely and use the opening hole. I honestly think that the opening hole should have been a bit deeper. Just the detent is pretty heavy on this, and you need quite a bit of leverage there. It's actually easier for me to use the meat of my finger than it is to use my fingernail, just because it's kind of I can feel having to put excess force into it. Your standard like thumb flick, if you catch about right here, it just needs to be lower to get a little bit more leverage, but it's good enough. Like I'd still give it, the ease of deployment, I'd still give it like a B+. It's all right. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's a little bit thicker, but also it is contoured. Length and height up against the PM2 and the Para 3. This is a pretty bulky knife. It's a pretty big knife. It's going to take up a decent amount of room in your pocket, but it's the heft that a lot of people will notice more than anything, given that it is both full size and full tie. So let's go ahead and weigh it. We are looking at 6.5 ounces. That is a big boy. These are titanium plates on top of titanium. So that is what you are looking at there. No milling for weight reduction. Let's go ahead and we'll do blade stock thickness, just because this is like right here. Blade stock thickness, come on now, there we go. I'm going to guess 150. No, it's less, 133 thousandths. So not bad. Do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. I think that had a T10 in it. We're going to do a T8, and I'll just check it right there. Yeah, T8 for the pivot. These body screws, unfortunately, are T6. I like to see T8 for body screws just because T6 can be problematic. both for the bit, yes, even if you have quality bits, the bit and the head. But it's not that big of a deal. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. This is right hand only, by the way. T6 for the pocket clip screws, but right hand only for the mounting position. We've done the hardware check. We have weighed it. We have measured the blade stock thickness moving into the meat and potatoes. Very utilitarian shape. Like the handle shape is a very classic knife handle shape, right? This is what I mean when I say it will cater to enthusiasts, to collectors, especially the laser etched one. But it is also an extremely utilitarian design. The handle profile is ridiculously ergonomic. Awesome choke up position for your index finger, and that jimping and the thumb position is so unbelievably complementary to the index finger position. It's awesome. Also, because this is a sheep's footy blade, I mean, you do have a little bit of curvature there. This is amazing for a lot of things. Number one, it does get reasonably thin down here behind the edge. Your draw cut's made super easy. Something else I really like about this, this is not the type of knife that people usually bring hiking or, camping or whatever. If you do, let's say you're just, you're grilling out. This is something that I do a lot. I get out there and I realize the only knife that I have is my pocket knife. Sometimes on a cutting board, I need to make a cut for this reason or that reason for something either before or after it goes on the grill. And if I lay my blade down, so, like a kitchen knife, you lay it down and you can utilize the entirety of the blade while you're rock chopping or whatever. My pocket knives typically do not do that because of the way that the handle is. On this knife, get a box here and show you. On this knife, the edge actually does, the very first part of the edge actually does lay down, so you can utilize the entire edge. So while it is absolutely not optimized for food prep, it is, in some cases, it might be better than your typical pocket knife that you wouldn't be able to utilize the entire edge. So that's kind of nice. But you have basically an elongated utility sheep's foot. So good at an enormous amount of tasks. And of course, you get some additional tip strength given that, it doesn't come to such a pointy, slender tip like on the Spyderco PM2. That's not a universally better thing. It's just, we'll talk about pros and cons, right? Machine satin, and then you have a nice wedge up here. Nice machine flat. The Tuya logo, the Echelon logo on this side, M390. How are they heat treating their M390? So Taylor only has data on, as of this, the time that I'm, recording this, which I think today is August 12th. You guys are watching it way in the future because everything's pre-recorded. As of August 12th, 2026, there was only one HRC test on Taylor's website, which, by the way, you can view by going to the last link in my description. And it was I don't know what it was, an S90V Tuya that unfortunately came in at 58 HRC. With there being only one test, even though that one test is low, I would want to see way more. I'd want to see like 10 tests, from newer Tuyas. M390, in my opinion, should be a bare minimum of 60, and I think M390 really shines at about 61, 62. Some people will push it all the way up to 63, 64. Given my frustrations with sharpening it and even using M390 at 61, 62, it tends to start to get chippy there, so I don't love M390 past about 62. But then again, my experience is not necessarily, like it's not absolutely overflowing with circumstantial data. It's more just like as a casual user of M390 at various hardness over 15 years or so. That's what I've noticed. So 60 bare minimum, 61, 62. I like it a lot more. So I have absolutely no idea how this is heat treated. It can't be too bad. Just casually using it on like cardboard and stuff. I always reference the time that I had that Sativian, that $80 Sativian in M390, which sounded like an amazing deal until I cut just a little bit of cardboard with it. And, people always say, oh, who's going to know the difference between 58 HRC M390 and 62? If it gets soft enough, you will absolutely. I mean, this Sativian that I had, reviewed, I wouldn't have surprised me if somebody tested if it came in at like 56 HRC. It was, less than 10 passes through cardboard, and that thing had completely lost its edge. It can't be that bad because this has definitely done more than that with me, and it's still cutting and slicing. So wouldn't surprise me if Tuya is hitting that industry standard 59 to 61, which is we just kind of grit our teeth and accept it. But I would love to find out that it is higher than that. I just want to make it clear that I don't actually know. The laser etching here actually is really cool. It's not going to be for everybody. It's, looks like modern animation that's what it reminds me of. It also has some subtle anodizing in there. Most of this is kind of like matte, but there's a little bit of reflectivity there in the blue. The other side is a little bit different. So some parts, are more reflective. The pocket clip being polished is also kind of a surprise, but it's cool. I like it. Let's see. Is there anything else that needs to be discussed on the front part here? Not really. Simple black washed frame. Nothing crazy going on there. The alternative scale is just a stonewash scale. Simple black washed back spacer. Pocket clip, honestly, pretty good. In and out of the pocket, very easy. Wish that those screws were recessed, but that's not that big of a deal. The stop pin is, I'm looking in my light. Nope, stop pin is located right here. So no shouldering, but that's okay. It doesn't really need it. You can see the mark there. And then where it contacts in the closed position is on the plunge, but it's deep enough. You can actually see, I think it's like right here. Yeah, it's way back. Way back. It's actually contacting in an area that should never, ever be sharpened. Even if you manage to remove all of this material, you're not going to be sharpening into this. That is absolutely where it's contacting. So you don't need to worry about it. If you're going to put it there, that is the right way to do it. Lock up, no blade play, up, down, left to right. And by the way, there is a steel lock bar insert. You just can't see it from this side, but you can see the little tab there. There is a lock bar insert. We can see it, I think, from here. Doubles as the over treble. No blade play, up, down, left to right. No lock stick, no pivot lash. Pretty smooth and consistent in here. Honestly, it's pretty good. Click into the closed position. Doesn't feel like a heavy detent until you go to deploy it. Perfect centering, no detent lash. Price on this guy is $269. Is that a fair price? We've got two parties. It's not an in-house design. M390 titanium on the lasered version. A little bit more work there. I mean, it is a laser, but it still takes time to do, and time is money, so it's not imaginary. That's not, poof, push a button and it's no, you still have to factor that in if you're running a business, right? But I don't know. It feels a little high. It's kind of hard to say without knowing the exact HRC of the M390. Perhaps it's 59. Perhaps it's 62. I have no idea. The price is, for a two-party, I think I probably would have liked to see this like under 250, maybe a little closer to 230, 235. So it's not horrifically, up there, and it's not in a territory that's unsurprising. I think that anybody who picks this knife up, if you're going to EDC it, I think you'll really enjoy it. It is worth pointing out that it is a pretty butt-heavy knife. Should have talked about this in ergonomics and weight. But the weight is not right behind the pivot where we want. It's a little bit butt-heavy. But truthfully, a really good, at least the profile of the blade, geometry of the blade, profile of the handle, all of that, a good, kind of bigger EDC tool. It's pretty good. It's not anything that's blown me away, right? I don't think anybody's going to be kicking down doors to get this, but it is cool. I think anybody who picks it up is going to enjoy it. That's going to be it from me today, guys. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.